Hey guys, totally tell like it is, sports rigging by the numbers. In this video, I'm going to break down the scripted injury, the fake injury suffered by David Johnson against the Detroit Lions, and I break down the re-signing of running back Chris Johnson, who's going to replace David Johnson for the next 8 to 12 weeks that he's out on the IR right now, eligible to return. This injury is part of a rigged and scripted narrative for the Arizona Cardinals season for an unlikely adventure to the Super Bowl for one of the preseason's huge underdogs and biggest sleeper teams out there. So first and foremost,
well, if that second opinion comes back whenever it does sometime tomorrow.
Alrighty, so first and foremost, David Johnson suffered a dislocated wrist against the Detroit Lions, and right away, this is an injury completely rigged, scripted, all done by the numbers. The running back that is replacing him is Chris Johnson. I want you to notice that Chris Johnson has 55 career touchdowns. This is no doubt all done by the numbers. Minneapolis and gematria equals 55, the site of the Super Bowl. David J. Johnson, David Jerome Johnson in gematria also equals 55. His injury was completely rigged, completely scripted, all by the numbers, and it's no coincidence. I want you to see too that Chris Johnson, 55 career rushing touchdowns, 9 career receiving touchdowns. This adds up to 64 career touchdowns for Chris Johnson, and long and behold, dislocated wrist in gematria equals 64, the completely fake injury that David Johnson, all part of the grand underdog narrative for Larry Darnell Fitzgerald and the Cardinals. The season began on September the 7th. Larry Darnell Fitzgerald Jr. in gematria equals 84. The star running back, the top draft pick in fantasy football, David Jerome Johnson in gematria equals 84. It's interesting that Arizona Jesuit Super Bowl 52 in gematria equals 84. Chris Johnson's birthday is on September the 23rd. David Johnson's birthday is on December 16th of 1991. It's interesting that the amount of time from Chris Johnson's birthday on September the 23rd to Chris Johnson's birthday, to David Johnson's birthday, Chris to David, is a time span of 84 days. The amount of time between their two birthdays. Once again, I've done a video on the Johnson & Johnson tribute. I've correctly predicted that tribute because of the rigged and scripted return of Chris Johnson today on September the 12th. This adds up to 21. Jesuit and gematria equals 21. Today's date numerology adds up to 38. That's where the Super Bowl is being played at. Number 38, Andre Ellington, the other good running back on the roster. Minnesota and gematria equals 38. Chris Johnson, notice how he's played 126 career games. His first game back with the Cardinals is going to be his 127th career game. This is all rigged, scripted by the numbers. Vatican City equals 127, as well as the site of Super Bowl 52. Minneapolis equals 127. It's funny that Chris Johnson's full name equals 103, and before the season, I predicted the Cardinals to end a 71-year title drought. Originally from Chicago, the Chicago Cubs ended a 71-year Billy Goat title drought. This number 71 connects Catholicism, Catholic equaling 71. The College of Cardinals, the Pope's ordained bishops, wear red. The Cardinals wearing red. Their name is the Cardinals. That is a symbolic representation of the Pope's ordained bishops. Billy Goat equals 103. Steelers equals 103 and 31. All scripted. David Johnson wears number 31 as well. This is no coincidence. This is not arbitrary. I guarantee you that. Christopher Juan Johnson, 112. The last Super Bowl being played at Houston, that in gematria equals 112. Catholicism, Zionist, 112. Israel, Zion, Synagogue of Satan, all equals 64. It is the Freemasons, the Zionists, and the Jesuits at Rig and Scripture Rotor Sports. No coincidence that Chris Johnson, once again, 64 career touchdowns. David Johnson with a dislocated wrist. This is all rigged, all scripted by the numbers, no doubt about it. I want you to notice something too. David Johnson, Arizona Cardinals running back, 68 receiving yards in this game. Championship in gematria equals 68. He had a long of 24 yards that game. Also keep in mind too, his career touchdown total on the ground is 24. 2-4, February the 4th, the day that the Super Bowl is going to be played. Chris Johnson, Cardinals running back, is going to turn 32 years old. It's interesting that he's 31 years old right now, and David Johnson wears number 31. This is no coincidence. This is not arbitrary. I guarantee you that. The 24th overall pick, 2-4, another reference to the day of the game. He's going to turn 32 years old. Notice that David Johnson is 25 years old. Their ages add up to 57. 57, a special number, a special championship number, that is. 57 in gematria equals 131, and so does championship, people. Championship 131 and 68, all done by the numbers once again. Going back to 57, I'm predicting the Dodgers to win the World Series this year. Magic Johnson, 57 years old, before the start of the season. Interesting that return in gematria equals 96, the return of David Johnson, the Pittsburgh Steelers, 96, who I'm predicting to win the AFC this year. Notice something too with David Johnson. The return of David Johnson equals 114, going back to the Billy Goat tribute. Remember, the Cardinals used to play in Chicago. They're trying to end a 71-year title drought on the 35th day of the year. Catholic equals 71 and 35 in gematria. Bidwell and Pythagorean gematria equals 35. The return of David Johnson in gematria equals 114. The Cubs won their 114th game of the year last year to win the World Series. A connection with the Chicago Cubs. The Arizona Cardinals used to play in Chicago. This is all rigged, all scripted by the numbers. The Pittsburgh Steelers had the 135th pick overall in the draft this year. Carson Hilton Palmer in gematria equals 135. Christopher Juan Johnson. Actually, David Johnson's name is the real tribute. Let me type it in. David Johnson in simple gematria. Now, okay, I have to do this the other way. Jerome Johnson. Or just simply, oh, I see my mistake here. David Jerome Johnson, that has to be an S. Just a J here. Misspelled Johnson. It's like a math class trying to find out your error. Anyway, sorry for the bust up. David Johnson in simple gematria equals 135. His full name in gematria. No coincidence that Chris Johnson's birthday on September 23rd. The amount of time from CJ2K's birthday to the Super Bowl is a time span of 135 days. And the guy that he's replacing, David Johnson, gematria equals 135, just shows you how rigged and scripted this is. I'm predicting Cardinals over Steelers. Steelers in return equal 96. 64 career touchdowns for Chris Johnson. The fact that dislocated wrist in gematria equals 64. At some point, this becomes such a big joke. 2 months and 23 days. The Synagogue of Satan in gematria equals 223. This is a satanic gang of Freemasons and Zionists that rig and script your world of professional sports. Today's date numerology. I broke that down already, but Chris Johnson's birthday, date numerology of 69, the Jesuit order in gematria equals 69, Fitzgerald equals 54, the Rooney's equals 54, David Johnson without his middle initial in gematria equals 54, the Jesuit Bowl equals 52, Super Bowl 52 on the 35th day of the year, the scissor rigged inscripted sports all done by the numbers, Chris Johnson, and you know, we can try one more thing too. 24th overall pick, 86 overall pick. The 86 overall pick is David Johnson in his draft. The 24th overall pick, this adds up to 110. In gematria, the practice coding letters and words into numbers. Minnesota in gematria equals 110. Notice with 55 too in Minneapolis. Notice that Bruce Arians' book, The Quarterback Whisperer, was released on July the 11th of 2017. This has a date numerology of 55. Minneapolis equals 55. The amount of time, this was my mistake from last week. Why did the Cardinals lose to the Detroit Lions? I can answer this question. The Cardinals had a 7-game winning streak against the Lions. They lost against the Lions, a 7-1 record in their last 8 games against the Lions. In other words, this forms a 71. This foreshadows that the Cardinals are going to end a 71-year title drought. The day of the Quarterback Whisperer being released on July the 11th of 2017, and the fact that the Cardinals' first win of the season against the Indianapolis Colts on September the 17th of 2017. When you do not include the end date, this is a time duration of, once I enter the right date for the release of the book, The Quarterback Whisperer, How to Develop an Elite NFL Quarterback by Bruce Arians, a time span of 68 days from the day that A Quarterback Whisperer was released. The book of Bruce Arians, The Holy Gospel of Arians of Quarterbacking, time span of 68 days from the release of his book to the Cardinals' first win next week. Once again, championship in gematria equals 68. You see where the narrative is pointing towards an underdog run, overcoming injuries. This has been done before with the Ravens and Ray Lewis and the Green Bay Packers and all their injuries on the IR, the Aaron Rodgers' first Super Bowl, and then we had the famous example of Jerome the Bus Bettis retiring at his hometown of Detroit, and we're going to see the same thing here with the Arizona Cardinals in Super Bowl 53, where Larry Fitzgerald rides into the sunset as hometown of Minneapolis, retires with the Super Bowl champion at the Vikings' new stadium, was a ball boy with the Vikings, so once again, rigged by the number.